A simple Google search will tell you that 3,898,000 students graduated this academic year, only from the United States, majoring in software-related degrees, such as computer science and IT. So if we pull up the approximate data of people entering the software market every year across the globe, we might actually skip the whole discussion. While students are graduating in crazy numbers, a simple scroll on LinkedIn is enough to vouch for the unemployment, which is spread far and wide. So the industries are growing, jobs are being automated, which needs people skilled in software and related subjects. But the graduates are unemployed. How does this equation not fall balanced? To address these issues, a recent survey of employers demonstrated that the majority of college degrees are redundant and don't equip students with the necessary employable skills. In the software industry itself, many people are losing jobs because of a lack of up-to-date skills. At Archi's Academy, we provide training for project management, product development, and program development so that, along with your college degree or previous experience, you also have experience in the market. At Archi's, we mentor you with hands-on training, live projects, and interactive online classes which not only skill you for the job in the future, but also upskill your already existing ones. With our add-on coaching for interview and communication skills, we make sure that you do what you say, and you say what you do. Our placement and support are extended to you even after your traineeship ends, so that the transition process is easy and you are fully prepared to code away. Be at Archi's. Code your future. A simple Google search will tell you that 3,898,000 students graduated this academic year, only from the United States, majoring in software-related degrees, such as computer science and IT. So if we pull up the approximate data of people entering the software market every year across the globe, we might actually skip the whole discussion. While students are graduating in crazy numbers, a simple scroll on LinkedIn is enough to vouch for the unemployment, which is spread far and wide. So the industries are growing, jobs are being automated, which needs people skilled in software and related subjects. But the graduates are unemployed. How does this equation not fall balanced? To address these issues, a recent survey of employers demonstrated that the majority of college degrees are redundant and don't equip students with the necessary employable skills. In the software industry itself, many people are losing jobs because of a lack of up-to-date skills. At Archi's Academy, we provide training for project management, product development, and program development so that, along with your college degree or previous experience, you also have experience in the market. At Archi's, we mentor you with hands-on training, live projects, and interactive online classes which not only skill you for the job in the future, but also upskill your already existing ones. With our add-on coaching for interview and communication skills, we make sure that you do what you say, and you say what you do. Our placement and support are extended to you even after your traineeship ends, so that the transition process is easy and you are fully prepared to code away. Be at Archi's. Code your future.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from all the places where you guys are from. Hi, my name is Tofi. I'm CEO and founder of Archie's Academy. Really appreciate you guys joining right now for this amazing event, along with Penny, who is a software engineer in Apple. And to give a brief introduction, is that like we at Archie's, we believe that to share our knowledge to the upcoming software engineers, people who wants to become amazing individuals in the software development. And here we have been associating with the different mentors from various companies, which has been like companies like Apple. In the previous event, we had Google, then we had MailChimp, etc. So to get started, the introduction of Penny, I know her for quite some time. When she was an intern in my previous organization, and has been a great friend. So she thought of joining here and giving her experience of how she transitioned from that graduate towards a software engineer, and which will allow a lot of people who are the trainees in Archie's Academy and other people who joined in this session to grasp that knowledge and then turn that into their success stories in the future. So I would like to welcome Penny to the stage. If Penny's around. Hey Penny, nice to meet you after a long time.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
I know that it's super early for you. I know that it's really early for you. And I know that it's 7 a.m. at this point of time for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I'm,
It is
I'm
7 a.m. in the Bay Area.
but like thanks for taking this Saturday early morning 7 a.m. to join here. And I know that that's kind of pain, but due to the time zones from different parts of the countries, like to the world, I didn't have any much options apart from 7 a.m. for you. So really appreciate your time you joined, and I'm happy to see you again after a very long time. And to get started, Penny, if you can introduce yourself, what you do right now, what's your stuff, I know it would be great.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So my name is Penny. I am currently a software engineer at Apple under IMG organization, which is Interactive Media Group. And I have been working at Apple for the past 2 years. Previously, I worked at Samsung for 1 year. And then before that, I graduated from UIUC, which is University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and I studied computer engineering there.
Right.
So that's a brief background.
Well, UIUC is a home of Artist Academy, like where you're coming as our headquarters in Champaign, Illinois itself, where I used to be there when you are also there. And the little personal thing over here, Penny loves motorcycle. And how did you reach there? Like you're amazing with the motorcycles.
Oh yeah, I really enjoy riding motorcycle. Actually, I picked it up once I moved to the Bay Area,
Mhm.
because California is one of the only states in the US that allow lane splitting, which is you can go between cars.
Right.
So it has been a great experience. I recommend it to everyone. Learn
I
how to
really like when you drive. You're really cool. You're natural with the motorcycle. So I'm so happy to see your photos and videos when I get a chance. All right. My first question would be like, in your own words, like, how do you feel like being at Apple, a big company, as you know that it's one of the biggest in the world, which is having like $1 trillion in market cap, and being an amazing software company as well as a hardware company. So it's a both ways, hardware as well as software company. And what excites you to be a member of Apple? And I know that you just now came from the conference, like just happened like last week. And could you tell about your experience over there?
Yeah, sure. So working at Apple, it is definitely one of the biggest like software, hardware, tech companies out there. So um yeah, it's it's like probably working for any other company in terms of, your type of work, but um there's a lot of benefits, and there's a lot of people that you can meet because it's such a big company. um like just my org, there's so many departments under that org, and uh yeah, I'm pretty sure Apple is like 4 or 5 times the size of Facebook. um
Right.
and a lot of, I don't know, maybe is it the same as Google or Amazon? I don't know.
Right, like just specific to the role which you're doing, like how much difficulty level you think, like you crack the coding and you crack the interviews of Apple. That's not a small feat in terms of a regular person who wants to become a software engineer. The fine companies, as you know, that it's not just a straightforward. That's why it is a very high reputation when somebody is working in this company is brought in. So what specifically as in your role do you feel like, okay, I'm an engineer, I have to do this way in a specific way?
um yeah, so like cracking the interview at Apple is very different, I would say, compared to other tech companies like Google. So like the interview process is team dependent. So the first round you'll just match with a team. I guess if the team is interested in you, the manager will reach out and start the interview process. Versus in Google or like Bloomberg or even Amazon, maybe it's you kind of go through that generic process, and then at the end you will potentially match to a team.
Right.
So usually at Apple, like if your resume checks out, if it matches a team, then the hiring manager will directly reach out to you. So that has been good because I'm not too great at like coding, which is
Now you can be disclose that, right? Like you are already in the things.
but legal is really important to getting a software engineering job.
Right.
um, Sorry, what was the other part of your question?
And like, being specific to the role right now, what you do with respect to the Apple, I know that you're working with the macOS sharing feature. How much of an engineering background, like, the things which you learn versus what you do there is, how comparison with that?
Yeah, so what happened to me was my 1 year working at Samsung. I worked on mobile GPU like drivers for, yeah, GPU related work at Samsung. And then what I do now is also GPU related, kind of like accelerating on the GPU. GPU graphics acceleration um,
Mhm.
helps with the streaming, content streaming, and share play and things like that.
Right.
So definitely experiences in the past helped me get this job.
Well, yeah, I mean, the experience bring in whichever the company which you work in, that's the value add as you go move forward. Every day, what you do day by day, that's the experience, what you learn. And that's adds up to the current work we are doing. Just going back to the past. All right. So let's take us back to Champagne right now. All right. Where I know that you are in that corner seat trying to do the 3D printing. And I remember I still have the minion you given me. So I still have that one with me. So going back then, did you ever thought that you would be joining Apple and the path towards Apple was something in your visibility and that process?
So back then, I definitely wanted to come to California, Silicon Valley, just because that's all I knew. I didn't have my eyes set on like a specific company, and honestly, I wasn't very too confident in my abilities. So it was mostly like, okay, I wanted to, do well in school and move to California. So that was mainly the goal. Um, yeah, but definitely like there are a lot of uh, companies, like these big companies like Apple, Facebook, Google. Actually, a lot of these companies come to U of I to recruit. So everyone gets a good sense
Absolutely.
of what is available when you graduate. So
Yeah, that's one of those things, right? Like UIUC being UI is a great school in the first place. That opportunities of companies coming there to recruit is one way or another gives us the leverage to get into this big giant companies. Being in a good engineering school as well, that's what
yeah.
brings
And
it.
it has been really like beneficial, especially like I think U of I has some relationship with Apple where for career fair, like they actually come with a bunch of engineers from a bunch of departments. So I studied computer engineering, so that's under ECE.
Right.
And we had the second floor like conference room just booked by Apple with people from hardware, software, OS, everything. And they don't do this at every single school.
Right.
It's a huge recruiting opportunity to get internships and then full time. But unfortunately, I got interviewed on campus by Apple for internship, but I never got it because
Right.
it was not good enough.
Yeah, but you remember, right? Like, in being, I was an ex-associate with Wolfram as well. Wolfram have that work relationship between Apple because Siri is implemented with a lot of APIs of Wolfram Alpha. I was manager when I was doing that one as well. So I know that there is a special connection between the Champagne or U of I Wolfram with Apple because of the previous founders and all those things. So that's one of those things. So what's your key takeaway of your time in college or university? So being there, what was your being a student, stressful, assignments, exams? So what's the key takeaway which you got from that?
Uh, the key thing that I got from college is college was hard. ECE was hard. All the
Right.
other classes were good except for anything that began with the ECE. Those were hard. But now looking back, a lot of these classes didn't really help with getting a job.
Right.
For example, if I'm, you know, like the classes that you would need to get a job would be like algorithm and data structure,
Yes,
and
for
that's
sure.
about it. That's
Yeah.
about it. These two classes, um, like all the other like I guess depending on like which field you go into, but like a lot of the like
Software engineering.
physics,
Yeah.
yeah, like physics, math, even linear algebra, like you think that like differential equations, like you think that you will use them, but like honestly, you're not going to use
I'm
them.
gonna use it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess a key takeaway would be like really focus on these key classes, like these CS related classes if you want to do like software engineering. But of course, if
Absolutely.
you want to have like concentration in something, then just focus on that. Like don't get distracted with random classes, I guess.
You got the point right. Like, this is one of those key things which Arcis Academy also trying to train the people, where here the personas are basically who might be struggling to get an entry because some people might be taking a huge career break because of their personal reasons, especially women, mom. That's what we are trying. And there are students in the academy. So we at Archie's don't have any age limit. You can be at high school or you can be a senior in age. You can come and learn. What you need probably is skills required in your resume to make sure that get noticed or that get picked. And most of the time in the formal education, yes, you need to get a diploma, you need to get your degree, which you probably have like either going for higher studies or going for your visas and stuff like that. You need that degree certificate. But as you said, you probably need to pick and choose what you need to go for. If it's a software engineering, data structures, problem solving, leetcode.com, which gives a lot of the data structure problems you need to might solve and become good at it. So that's what it is, what required. So being in your own opinion, like, if somebody wants to start working or building a particular career, where they should start from, like, at what point, after university is done, okay, I'll become serious to get a job. In your viewpoint, what's the when they should start being serious? Okay, I need to get a career.
When should they get
Like,
serious?
if you wanna become like a software engineer, probably your universities maybe like, okay, you can cruise through. Not every universities are as difficult as ECE in UOI. Like, there are other much easier things out there. So people take granted in terms of, okay, I'll just go to the university, I'll just keep enjoying it until I become serious. So if somebody who wants to become a software engineer, when do they need to get start like thinking seriously? And in your life, when was that point where, okay, I'm gonna become a software engineer even though you are in ECE?
Yeah, so actually as early as possible. I was, as you said, doing the 3D printing stuff like even before college just to get familiar with some type of coding.
Right.
And then every summer after that, I had some type of internship or research opportunity. So honestly, just start taking it seriously as early as possible, even if, like you have an experience or internship and you're like, I really don't like that. I don't really like, I don't know, like this job or something like that, then at least you know an area that you don't want to go
You
into.
don't like it, yeah.
Yeah, so any opportunity is really good, like any type of exposure to any type of programming, coding, even you're starting your own project, things like that will help guide you in some way. Uh,
Right.
so really as early as possible from day one that you enter college would be ideal.
Yeah, true. Like, most people, like, I mean, just being, you remember when I was, while you were doing internship back in Wolfram, I was doing managing multiple teams back then, engineering department entirely. So, like, what I would see that most people, where I was training at that point of time also, are really good in language. Like, it can be JavaScript, it can be Java. There's no issues with that. That way will take them up into cracking the interviews. Great. But when it comes to building a software, that's where you have no idea about like how to build a distributor softwares or how to build an amazing big giant software, where to start with and how to do it and what to do next. Those exposures are not taught in our formal education. So, like, the things which you said just now, like, doesn't matter what internship, even if you don't like it, just go there so that you can experience that one and then think that whether, oh, this is not for my stuff, and then move on to the next one. So very valid point what you said. And with your brief experience right now, what are the key skill sets of being a student? Like, I don't want to think like I'm right now a person with a 15 years of experience, or like you yourself like X number of years of experience. So being a student, what are the key skill sets if you want to start this particular tech journey? You said about the algorithms and data structure. Anything else which you want to suggest to the entire trainees around here?
Yeah, I just want to make a key point. Like skill set, you will learn on the job because things you learn like in college will not match what you do on the job 100%. So really important thing is definitely being curious and then about whatever field that you go into. So I don't
Right.
know if curiosity is a skill set, but you really need to be interested in whatever it is and you are willing to learn. So like the ability and the willingness to learn is super important. um I see a difference like right now when I see some students, um you know they're kind of doing things kind of like mindlessly, just going through college. You're not interested in like any particular field, and then which is fine because some people take longer to discover what they want. But like if you're just not interested in software engineering, or like there's no like you're not thinking about building something cool, or it's something that excites you, like the software engineering excite you, because if it doesn't, then like you can't really do good work in that way. So that's a big difference I see in a lot of people, which some people just, I don't know. They're just going with the flow. But I in terms of skill, of course, like if you can do algorithm, if you can do these data structure questions and kind of um, what's helpful, like distributed, and just like for me, for my job, additional skills will be like OS related skills, and then GPU related, so computer architecture and parallel programming, things like that will be great. But if you concentrate on something like ML, AI, ML, then of course you would want AI classes, ML
AI
classes,
classes for sure.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
like signal processing classes and things like that. So skills, yeah, it will be covered by classes and depending on your concentration. But
Right.
really, I want, people should really enter this field like being excited to learn more, because people can probably tell from the interviews too.
Exactly, like true. As one of those things which I want to add to that point is that like what here we concentrate a lot in collaborative coding programming. Okay, so the thing is, most of the time in the school are there like you learn by yourself alone how to do the programs. It's not collaborated with your teammates. Most of the time, like you might have one person additional to work on the projects and that's it. But over here we do put a lot of effort to make sure that Git, for example, Git is one of those tools which we use extensively so that when they are doing coding, they do it in the real world, what's happening, right? Like, where you have a team members of 5 to 10 people who might be sitting across in different parts of the world. And how are you going to communicate and how are you going to do the development in terms of doing the coding? So we are officially a GitHub Canvas partner, meaning that we have a lot of things which we get from GitHub and perks which we get from the GitHub, etc. So giving that particular, what do you call it, collaborative programming, meaning that you will be a team player. That's what any company wants. You want to become a team player. For example, you earlier mentioned Apple interview is not unlike the other people. They look upon their team and this is what I need, and then they hire you based on that team. So being a team player, how much of an importance you see to become that, having helpful, and sometimes you need to ask questions, sometimes you need to provide some answers to your team members, new people are coming in. So how do you see that, like being a good team player?
Yeah, teamwork is super, super important. So I'm glad you brought this up. It yeah, a lot of times actually, when you hire someone, right, they might not be the best coder in the world, but you have that, if they're a team player, then, like, that helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, note to self, like, even if you might not, like, get the questions perfectly or something like that, if you communicate, clearly, um, then that helps. But yeah, like, teamwork, is actually one of the 3 review process to see how well
Right.
you're doing at Apple. I think it's, like, teamwork and, like, innovation, and what's another one? Results, yeah. So teamwork is one of the 3, like, key things that you're rated on in terms of performance. So
Right, right.
very important, yeah.
I mean, that's why which I brought it in as well, like, because you remember that I put a lot of effort when being a person in the space of management when I used to be as well, and you are one of those people who might have seen it. Like, and I do take care of a lot of importance to make sure your team members are working together in one sharing one goal, and some people might be weak on certain raise that into a balance in terms of how to bring them into that greater goal which we are trying to achieve. So that effort of try to be less egoistic approach, what do you say, like, being sharing the knowledge and rather than keeping to yourself, it's very important. And other things, key thing which I want to add, like probably you also know, might be in Apple for sure, documentation or writing the things down, and then making sure that that's being shared among the team so that, like, there is less toxicity in terms of, okay, I know this thing, I'm not going to share that won't work out, like, there
No,
used to be like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, Apple is pretty bad for not having good documentation, but we're very good with teamwork. Like, it's if you have any questions, you can ask anyone. They will really explain it in detail, and there's no reason to gatekeep and to not share
Right.
your thoughts and things like that, because yeah, like, we all have a common goal, and that is to produce good results, good software, and um yeah, teamwork, communication, and things like that is super important because you're not going to know everything. Like, even if you think you do, even if you read a bunch of things about the project that you're working on, you're not going to know everything.
Everything, true,
Yeah.
true.
Like,
Yeah,
to be honest, like, when you like, all the classes you take and the job, maybe, like, it's less than a 50% overlap of what you actually, like, will I don't know, you'll learn a lot on the job. So from learning, you're going to learn from your teammates, right?
right,
So
true,
you
true,
gotta
true.
ask question, you gotta work together because if not, then there's not going to be any progress.
Yeah, most people, like, I mean, even in the academy also, like, I keep saying, and if they are listening, they know that I always keep saying it. Don't try to get hold of yourself, whether ask it on the team channel, or ask in the channel where you think, if I know that Apple and Google are two different big giants to each other, but I have to name Google here also. Like, if you can Google it, that's great. Like, you get the answer, because 90% of the things you would probably get it from Stack Overflow if you're a coder. For OS related and stuff like that might be different. But if you're programming, you probably get the answer no matter what, and you need to nail how to actually search the answers. One thing, but asking the questions, and don't hold them back to be like, okay, I am asking, like, don't try to repeat the same question again and over, and that would be annoying the team members probably. But you need to make sure that you are aware of that, like, make sure that team members help each other out.
Mm.
One question, like, being a person, like, if you want to go back to 21-year-old right now, what are the 3 things which you would tell that, hey, Penny, this is what you need to do right now. Don't do the other things. What are the 3 things?
Yeah, 3 things. Let's see. Number 1 is take care of your health. because
Right.
I remember in college it was super stressful. I was not sleeping well because I was doing project like at starting projects at like 11 p.m. and then going to like 3 a.m., which is not healthy at all.
Mhm.
It's not great. Like, don't pull all-nighters. Don't do that for school. Like, don't be so stressed for no reason and things like that. So, that's what I would say to myself because now, now, like like your health, like you can't do all of that. Like I get like really sick if I even like sleep kind of late these days. So
So you're saying that you become to a range, you're like, okay, I'm mature enough to say that I need to go to the bed on time.
yeah, like I have 8 hours or more every single night because I'm not that.
So sleep more. That's what you're saying. That's great.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So be healthy, like enjoy college because oh, number two also is really like find something to that like college is for exploring. And I don't remember like when I was in college, I think a lot of people tell you that like, oh, explore your passions, all of that stuff. And then that like really meant nothing to me. I'm just like, oh, I'm so stressed, like trying to do well in the classes, all the coursework, that, I wasn't exploring different fields or things that interested me. So there's so many cool things going on in the world of technology. Um, like, yeah, like to name a few, like AI, ML, like blockchain, like all of these things, like even like if you want to go into the finance industry or the
Yeah.
health industry, like are you interested in, solving problems in different industries? Like there's so many opportunities in tech that back in college I wasn't really thinking about like the industry that I was trying to go into or like anything like that. I was just trying to like survive my classes, which
Mm.
is looking back, it was not the right idea because you have 4 years, right, or more in college to explore like what's something that truly interests you.
Mhm.
So if you want to solve problems in the blockchain space, if you think that, that's going to be the future, then concentrate on that. Like do side projects on that. And because that's when you want to devote your time to do something like that.
Yeah.
And the results and getting a job and things like that will come more naturally than yeah. So
Yeah, you
definitely
got the right point there. Like, being like one of those things. I'm just piggybacking your answer is that being blockchain. Like, we at Artis is a blockchain-based company. The thing is that, like, for our mentorships and all, we have our own smart contract to make sure that you can use our tokens to make sure to book our sessions and stuff like that. So everything is recorded. Who is your trainer? Whom you trained with? What day you trained with? Everything is recorded in blockchain. And also we train them. People come to us and say, ask, like, hey, I want to learn blockchain because most people does not know about blockchain except the fact that Bitcoin is going up and down or Ethereum is going up and down. That's the extent of the blockchain knowledge, but doesn't really understand the full extent of where we can use it. What's the use case of it? In the ed tech industry for us, there are numerous use cases. Like, for example, the mentorship which we are giving. If anybody who joined today, if they want to give the, let's say, certificates, we give them as an NFT certificate, and all our certificates in the Arches Academy is an NFT certificates. That will allow us to see that all the transition or the transactions basically provided from us to that, it's tamper proof, like, it's already there and it's recorded and it's online, so you can't really. And the let's take in the NFT certificates in that, we can tweak the things which more. If a person put X amount of effort, we can really define that in that certificate versus a Y person who did that one. So training the people to the future tech is something which we believe in and want to make sure that there are enough skills for the future. And the software industry itself, it's humongous. So it's not never like, people think that, oh, do I have opportunities in the next 5 years or 10 years? Obviously, new things will come up, and nobody even scratches the surface of blockchain and all. Because think about when Apple says that, okay, we're going to do everything in blockchain, or Google is going to say things get bombastic, and then people wants to get in there. So glad that you brought that up as well. And I would just go for one last kind of a question, and then we have some more questions from our trainees or the audience which come here. Like being a mentor, now you have an experience, gone through several, like, what's an experience? Experience is when you tried something, it may went wrong, and then okay, now I have that experience. Now, being that even if it is like right now, let's say X number of years or X number of things which you've done, what does a mentor mean to you? And in terms of it, Archie's Academy is all about mentorship, like how you can succeed in your work or workforce. Being a mentor, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I'm glad that I can be considered as a mentor these days. I think it's a good place to really like inspire, like people that are trying to get into the tech industry and really help them, lead to, like go to the right direction because I hope like would have been great, in college if I had a mentor that told me, hey, like explore different things, make sure, the world is a huge place and you can have because you're going to be working for so long. So why not enter a field or industry or explore something that you were truly interested in,
Yeah,
right?
true, true. It's like, yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, it's all about mentorship is about like you gone through a journey yourself and you've seen that world till that point. Now, I know for sure that when right now also like for you, I can tell you even if you're an Apple, okay, don't do this maybe that can get you into trouble, or maybe you should pursue in this direction, maybe getting inside Apple itself a better career. Things like that can go through because of the experience has been done. So yes, I truly enjoy that particular part, even if like I mean I do need to take care of the company and stuff, but being that mentor that's allocated for me to guide the people through, it's a great experience. I would like to get the audience here has questions, and thank you so much for answering all the things which I you just came through. Um, but without further ado, I would like to ask. Okay, there is a question coming up. Penny, is there a chance to get into Apple? Okay, without a higher education? Well, good question. Do you know such colleagues? That's a very good question.
I don't know anyone like directly, but I have heard that their high school or people that graduated from high school that entered Apple.
Right.
But I think they were like gods at programming or something.
Probably, yeah, that's the only way we can put it, right? Some people are gifted in a way, and that's an excellent answer too. Like I know for sure there are people who have been in Apple or even any fan companies without any completion of your formal education, and they got into the go. But bear in mind, I would like to add one more point, which may be not reflecting to you specifically because you being in the US. I would just say that you would still require, if to complete your formal education, getting a diploma, if you need to go from one country to another, especially the US. You won't be even able to eligible for visa if you don't complete that diploma because Apple cannot just hire you without the appropriate visa if you are not from the States or a citizen of the US. So you need to definitely complete your formal diploma, degree, certificate if you need to get a visa, and then once after that you will be able to work there. So the question is a kind of twisty, but that's the reality is, so you need to do that accordingly. So
Yeah.
good question. I hope
And also like Apple we hire like in Europe too, so it's not just
in the
university.
US.
It's not like you need to go to university in the US, but like recently on our team we hired someone from London.
Right.
So
So
it's
yeah, if there's an offline offshore or other locations, for example, I think that it's there in India. as well, so they can hire accordingly. If you're a home country, let me be more clear. If your home country, you don't need any visas and stuff like that. If you want to work there, probably that will be feasible. But if you want to switch countries, then it's a different case altogether. All right, so I have another question. Anjana, she's a trainee at Archi's Academy. I have a question like, can you give us some tips to follow to crack the interviews?
Yeah, so that's a big topic. But in terms of interviews, I think 80% will be leak coding.
Read code. Yeah.
Yeah. So with leak coding, what I did when I was preparing was I had a lot of mock interviews. So
Right.
when I was switching, like it was not easy again. Like like lead coding doesn't come like naturally to me, unfortunately. So that's something that you just have to practice. It's like an exam. You just have to, the more you do, the easier it gets. So I did mock interview a lot. So I scheduled mock interview with friends, with people I know, with random people actually too. Like once a day leading up the week leading up to the interview. And then the month leading up to interviews, I did probably like I scheduled 2 on Saturdays, 2 on Sunday, 4 times a week mock.
Yeah.
And because you'll do legal to a point where it gets
You
like
got easy.
like the amount of time you spend is not proportional to how much it will help. Like you're gonna leak to a point where you can solve most easy mediums, right? Like that's
Yeah.
gonna be a good spot to be. But the next one I see is you really need to be comfortable like doing the interview. So like I have a friend that I did mock for him and he recently got into Microsoft and he's bad at he's not very good at lead coding and he was even worse at mock interviews. So like when you do a real mock interview, like you get your nerves out, right?
Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking to sit in front of a computer and then you have a random person like quizzing you on software engineering questions. So getting comfortable with that and just being confident, being relaxed is really, really important because if you yeah.
Yeah, true.
Like I
Absolutely.
really mock interview is really important.
One of the three key things in academy which we do is that basically you need to make sure that you have enough skills to put into a good resume. So you need to get to a point that you have the things which you can put into a resume, like one pager or 2-page resume, such a way that it can be having the right keywords. If it's a human-driven resume reviewing, that person knows that, okay, this person can give an interview. If it's a machine-learned one, like you have the necessary things, you can put that. Have multiple resumes even for different companies. That's also another thing. Get the interview scheduled. That's the first stage of success. Okay, you finally got a chance to get an interview scheduled. Second thing is that interview preparation that leads towards that interview. That requires like basically a ton of lead coding. The next thing is that like, making sure that even if in that mock interviews, let's say you get a coding question, you want to make sure that don't just memorize it and just come and do, okay, I know this is a question, this has been asked before, I know how to solve it. That's kind of a lame approach. You need to really explain the solution in a really systematic, line by line, what's your thought processes. If I am hiring an engineer, like, a really difficult coding interview, then probably that's one of those things which I would see. This person did understood this question and trying to solve in a systematic manner. So, mock interviews, all that. So we do a lot of mock interviews when the person, the candidate, the trainees, like engineer or other people, are ready. We do the mock interviews with several people, make sure that they are when the real life interviews comes, you know how to introduce yourself. Some people does not know that even. Like, you can't introduce yourself 1.5 minutes or 1 minute. Sometimes just go over 3 minutes. Sometimes, okay, my name is Toffee and I'm from, this place, and that's it. So you can't really explain it. So those kind of things adds to it. Well, great points, Benny. Do we have more questions? That's what I want to say. Okay, we have another trainee again from Archi here, Shivam. Apart from the coding, what are the key skills we should focus on? I think you kind of explained it earlier, but you are summarized maybe in a quick 10 seconds or 20 seconds, I don't know.
Yeah, apart from coding, definitely explore that one area they're interested in, and then maybe have projects, personal projects in that area, and then write that down in your resume,
Right.
to show that you're interested in that area.
Yeah.
So that might not be skill related, but it helps like have a GitHub that your personal GitHub, and you have your projects in your GitHub, link that GitHub in your resume, and then because all the interviewers we check your GitHub.
Yeah, for sure, it will check
Yeah,
the GitHub
so
for sure. Yeah, yeah. That's why in Archie's itself, the first week is all about workshops and on GitHub. And the importance of that is like you need to put that into the resume. That's the first. Everybody if you are listening from Archie's Academy and their trainees, they all know that the week one is dedicated towards just to get to know even GitHub, because most people join does not have a GitHub account even to start with. So I'm like, okay, no, that's the starting point. That's because we build your profile to get a good resume. The other one would be communication, just adding along with you, like because of the team skills which we discussed upon, making sure that how to communicate, what to speak, what not to speak, those kind of stuff. How to be with the good team members, etc. So
yeah. Oh, and also like have a personal website if you can,
right,
because GitHub, it allows you to host one website
right,
for free. So you
right.
can host your personal projects website, or like an introduction website. It just shows that you're like interested in coding, and it's very simple because you just get clone some random like website template, and then like just it's a very simple project,
Easy.
easy project that you can just show that you're interested in coding, and then you can, yeah, there's a bunch of like personal website templates that you can
You can
use.
just go to GitHub and search for it. And that's what we do also. Like, basically you can host it in our archis.academy domain. So we provide them, let's say Shivam is a trainee, it will be shivam.archis.academy, and then get this personal, so that you can put that one and modify it and show to the people, you are actually doing some coding. That
Right, yeah, and it's a simple one too, like, it's not really a project, but it's
it definitely do that. Like, most people, again, reverting back to the question that I said, they know how to do the language, but when it comes to do something, okay, personal project, okay, that I can do, but what should I do now? Those kind of things comes into,
Yeah, and I don't do front end. I do, my coding is in C++, and it's pretty lower level, right?
Mhm.
Close to GPU, the stack above that. But like I never did UI, or I don't know, like front end stuff. But
You
it's
know,
a
the
it's a, it's a fun thing to like just learn new skills and do a website. Like
right,
it's
right. That's it. Do we have more questions, or can we have one more last question? Okay, I would just say one more last question before we wind up. Hey Malu, another trainee from Archie's again. What advice will you give to somebody having a career gap to get a job as soon as possible? Because Malu is one of, just to give you a background of it. At Archie's, we believe in people get second chances who wants to come back to the workforce, especially like I said earlier, women who took career gap because of the family reasons of you want to take care of the kids, but after a few years down the line, they want to come back, but most of the time the technologies has been outdated and what they learned from their universities have been outdated. And in certain countries, not in the US to be honest, certain countries have this stigma around like, oh, you have a career gap, we cannot hire you. So we associate with those companies which are like in line with our mission. You need to give a chance to them. And Malu being a trainee in QA, because she is getting testing, which is kind of easier to get it approach to start with if you have not much of a programming skills. Getting that into the career, that's something. So for you, from your perspective, do you have any kind of advice which you came across your colleagues in Apple or on your personal things like that?
Yeah, I think that's a good direction to go into, like QA, just because every company has a QA department. Like our team, like at Apple, have like a like GQA, like GPU software QA, and there's OS QA. There's QA. It's a huge department at Apple. So yeah, like if you're just limiting yourself to software engineering, maybe that's gonna be like hard right off the bat. But
Mhm.
um, I think doing QA testing and things like that is a good
Point for
starting point, yeah, to get into it because I know a lot of QAs that like transfer to software engineering.
later down the line. Yeah,
Yeah.
once getting the stepping stone is the first mode, right? Like if a person who's not that much good, maybe because of again, when
Yeah,
you are in the universities, you have stressful, but the life of being having a kid and all those things won't be there probably at that point of time. But when it comes to the life problems, and along with that, you need to learn something new. Your brain has some amount of acceptance range, but how to get that confidence in, that's what probably the thing.
yeah, and like yeah, definitely like it's good to start somewhere where you're comfortable in. Um, but yeah, actually, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, QA is a huge department. Like they, at Apple, like QA gets paid a lot too. Like
Right.
so, it's not like it's less than software engineering. It's actually
No,
very
absolutely
similar.
not. It's very similar, except the fact that the entry point can be much easier in terms of the way how what's your interest, and if you like to have interest, then you can have that from the start point. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, I mean, I have one question probably like that, I mean, we are running out of time as well. Like, this is from our partner, because Archie is all online and making sure that the trainees are from anywhere around the world, because now we can do a lot of trainings with we have our own learning management system, a blockchain based learning management system known as Locum. We put all our trainees progress, daily journals, that tracking the progress, everything is on that particular system. Now we just started getting our first offline center, which is in India, which is known as TKM ICTP. We probably have much people just joined from that one as well. So I have a question from the CEO of TKM ICTP. Like, being from a country like India, maybe some people might not be having the appropriate, like the laptops and stuff like that. Like not everybody has that to start with. So if they want to start something to become a software engineer, like being a facilities provided by this training centers helps a lot to get to start training. But apart from having a laptop or internet, how can they start learning? What kind of books you might need to refer, or what kind of like things materials you might be can send across to start learning?
Yeah, like in terms of books, let's see. Like maybe math. Math,
I can give you one example. Cracking the coding interview. That's the one
yeah.
holy bible, like in terms of like software.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can write algorithm down on paper, right?
Yeah,
Like
true. But in a way, sometimes when you write it down in a paper of algorithm, it makes you to think in your head. Because one suggestion which I want to mention is that don't try to do it in an IDE if you're trying to solve a problem, because IDE can give a lot of suggestions. You need to do it in maybe in a notepad or something, like text editor or something, so that you kind of get practice that you're gonna write it down, so that instead of an IDE supports you to like give the full blown answer sometimes. So that's one thing which I can add as a being an engineer. So well, any closing comments before we wind up this one? Again, I really appreciate. I know that like it's Saturday early morning now. You need to have. I hope you had your coffee before this one. So any closing comments, Penny, from your side for the trainees of Archie's Academy or other people who are listening to this one?
Um, yeah, like closing comments. Let's see. Like, I think, good luck to everyone. You guys are definitely gonna do really well. You guys are in good hands. So, like we hit so many things that I thought it was great that Archie's Academy is doing. So definitely in good hands. And another thing, I think everybody is in a good place in terms of, entering the tech industry, because like tech is just moving so fast, and it's like, it's like it goes exponential. So it's just a place to be these days. There's always going to be demand. Yeah. So everybody's on the right path.
Definitely. Just hustle, consistent, keep growing every day, and believe in yourself that you can crack it. That's confident enough. And we have the people like, we have mentors like Penny, we have mentors others who just came before us as well to help in terms of like getting that confident in you. That's really important. To just add along with that, we have our next event which is coming again. We are trying to make sure that every week we have a guest, a mentor can come and share their experiences with their path. The next event is from senior human resource manager, human resource from Amazon UK, and I'm hoping that people who are listening would be joining for the next event and after that, etc. So really appreciate Penny and over here to come in today and share your thoughts, making sure that you extend this knowledge to them. I really, from bottom of my heart, really thank you so much. Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Have a good one. Really appreciate it, Penny. Take care. Yep. Thanks, guys, again for listening today. Thank you so much. Really appreciate for listening today with our mentor session with Penny, who works as software engineer at Apple. Again, just to add to the point, people who we will be having our next week mentor session / webinar with our senior HR from Amazon. So if you haven't registered to it, please make sure that check out our social media, Instagram or LinkedIn or other places to get registered for the next week event so that we can send you the reminders and other things. And if you have any questions to how to join Archi's Academy, please make sure that to reach out to us. Our team is always there to make sure that to help you out in terms of how to join, etc. And we'll reach out to you if you have any kind of, please reach out to our team in any kind of social media. We are super responsive in that sense, and then make sure that you can be a part of Archi's Academy. So I really appreciate for joining today, and have a good one, have a good weekend, and see you next week. All right, thank you so much.